Hi everyone. I just finished recording the video I'm about to record and realized that it didn't record. So maybe the second time around will be more concise and quicker. Welcome to another Q&A. I got so much positive feedback that I decided to make these a regular. I love filming it myself. I feel that through a video, I can give you a much more thorough answer than in a 60-second story that disappears in 24 hours. So we'll collect questions and then you'll have these videos you can reference back if you need to, if you want to check the answer to your question. And let's have fun with it. So if you wouldn't mind helping me grow my channel, give the video a like, share it with your friends, and subscribe. That would be great. I'm going to start with the first question being a tretinoin retinol question, which ties into the last Q&A. But I just thought it was a really great question, and it ties a lot of aspects of tretinoin and retinol together. And it's a bit of a complicated answer, but I'll give it my best shot. The question is, the individual is 45 years old, has been using tretinoin since she was 35, and she's wondering if she should switch to retinol. And this is a multi-layered complex question. So anecdotally speaking, I see so many women that have been using tretinoin for decades and their skin looks gorgeous. So I know that works, probably at a pea-size amount. I've also learned a lot from Dr. ZO, and I've seen his work and I've seen his results, and I think that a lot of his philosophies really make sense. And his philosophy is tretinoin, usually when he wants to restore the skin. In other words, he wants to reverse a problem, whether it's sun damage, whether it's acne, whether it's rosacea, whatever the issue is. He calls it skin restoration, and he puts patients on a protocol of 1 gram of tretinoin nightly for up to 5 months. And that resets the skin to its most healthy state. After that, he says you have to switch to a retinol because tretinoin will, even though your skin is acclimated to it, will cause some level of irritation. And so you want a retinol because it won't cause that irritation. And that initially made sense to me, especially because he has multiple retinols that are formulated for different depths of the skin. So the wrinkle texture and repair cream is designed to substitute tretinoin for anti-aging. So in other words, working on the dermis level where the fibroblasts are stimulated, the collagen is produced, the hyaluronic acid is produced, the skin is bouncy, fresh, and young on that deep level. However, if we're talking about a pea-size amount of tretinoin and we're talking about a retinol, which is going to convert to retinol, which is going to convert to retinoic acid anyway, is it really so bad to stay on a small amount of long-term tretinoin? I don't know. I don't really think so. Maybe his retinol, that wrinkle texture and repair, would indeed be better than tretinoin, but the retinol cosmeceutical world is not regulated, and retinol is not a stable molecule. So it's hard to speak for 99.9% of the retinols out there. You could have worked so hard to get your skin used to tretinoin, acclimated, where you have no irritation and no issues, and then thinking you're doing something good, you switch to a retinol, which actually ends up being a low concentration, not very stable. By the time it gets on your skin, it's so much less than your tretinoin ever was that you're actually almost taking a step back in your skincare routine. So for wrinkle and texture repair, I know that is exceptionally strong. All the ZO Skin Health retinols are very strong. So there, I know you're getting a stabilized form of very strong, really prescription strength retinol. Most brands out there, you just don't know what you're getting. So it's really hard to know, and it's really hard to make that decision. I think that if your skin is really acclimated to tretinoin, you have no irritation from it, then why stop? Just make sure you're not using too much. You definitely don't want a gram of it. And at the end of the day, it's retinoic acid. It all converts. One doesn't convert because it is retinoic acid, and the retinol will go into retinol, will go into retinoic acid, and you have the same result. But the problem is there's no regulation with retinol. So it's so hard to know how it equates to tretinoin. Alpha-ret is a totally different, unique type of molecule. It's not a retinol per se. They have a very proprietary, completely unique formulation of what ends up being retinoic acid in their formula. Again, it's hard to compare because it's oranges to apples a little bit, but that is a really well formulated retinoid. We'll call it a retinoid. Can you recommend a brow serum? I've never used a brow serum, so I really can't, but I hope that maybe someone in the community can. So if any of you have a brow serum that you love, would you share with us in the comments below? Can you alter the look of jowls with Botox? It depends on how big those jowls are. If they're just baby jowls and you're young, yes, like a Nefertiti lift where you get a little bit of toxin along the jawline and you inject the bands of the platysma muscle, you can get a little bit of that lift and that smoothing so that they do disappear a little bit. If you've got heavy jowls, don't waste your money on Botox. It's not going to do anything at all. If you want the jowls to lift, the quickest, easiest way, other than a facelift, of course, is going to be a thread lift. That's going to pull that up. Or you can try radio frequency devices, Thermage, microneedling RF, Morpheus, Silphium, those types of things. And even those have very different results amongst different individuals. Some people get really incredible results. Some people will have 6 sessions and not see very much change. So, you know, it would be great if you guys want to chime in and tell me if you've had any of these treatments and what results you've experienced. It will kind of help others gauge, you know, how effective they are. I find that it's really, really random. I have Alto Advanced and ZO retinol. What is another skincare item that you can't live without? Well, Alto Advanced is probably the one product I wouldn't be able to live without. But if I had that, the ones I go to and always feel I need is the ZO exfoliating polish. I absolutely can't live without it. The complexion renewal pads are another. Some sort of pigment inhibitor, whether it's the Skin Better Science Even Tone, but we always have so much pigment deep in our skin that we don't see on the surface, and it may not show for 5, 10, 15 years, but it's there. So the sooner you start using a pigment inhibitor, the more you ensure just an even skin tone for literally for decades to come. So that would probably be another one. And of course, a Sun Better or Color Science sunscreen. What is the difference between PRP, PRF, and exosomes? So broadly speaking, PRP and PRF are natural from your own body. Exosomes come from some other person's cells. That's the main difference. And then PRP and PRF are both spun down blood. You get a blood draw, it's in a tube, it gets put in a centrifuge, and the only difference is the speed at which it spins. I prefer PRP because it spins faster, so I feel that it has the time and the speed to concentrate the platelets that you want to harvest from that one layer of that you'll have in the tube. Whereas PRF is much slower, so I feel like you lose a lot of good product in PRF. Exosomes are much more concentrated, so you can think of one exosome as, you know, 3 or 5 or 10 PRPs or PRFs. They're more concentrated. They also can have DNA in them or mRNA from the donor tissue, and you need much less to get the same result just because they are so concentrated and compact. Also, I do have a video on exosomes really explaining what exosomes are and how they work, and I also have a video on PRP and PRF, so if you're interested, I'll link them down below. There's a second part to this question. Do they really penetrate the dermis with skin pen, which is a microneedling device? The answer is it's operator dependent. The reason is when the skin pen penetrates the skin deep enough that it makes a channel in the epidermis, but it doesn't go deep enough to break a blood vessel, when the needle comes out, yeah, you have an open channel, and anything you put on the skin will absolutely go into that channel. However, if the needle goes too deep and breaks a blood vessel, the channel now fills with blood, and rather than topical ingredients penetrating in through the channel, you're having blood push out of the channel. So it really depends on how much bleeding you get during the procedure. In my opinion, this is how it works. So if you get pinpoint bleeding, in other words, just a point of bleeding here and there, that's the perfect depth for microneedling. You want your face to look pink or red, like a bad sunburn, but you don't actually want to be bleeding. And then I think you get the optimal absorption of whatever topicals you put on the skin. Products for thin, fragile skin for face and body. This is a difficult question because the first thing I would want to do in a consultation is find out why the skin is fragile. Is it sensitized? Is it due to allergies? Is it due to acne? Why is it fragile? One thing that strengthens skin is tretinoin, but if skin is very fragile, it may not be able to tolerate tretinoin. So it's really hard to know where to begin. I think a consultation would be the best place to start, but I'll approach this question as fragile skin equivalent to post-procedure skin, just very, very delicate. And what I would recommend is the cleansing gel from Skin Better Science, and then very gentle products that are safe on post-procedure skin. So things like the Elastin Skin Nectar, those are peptides and it helps the skin heal and it helps stimulate collagen. Or the ultralight moisturizer from Elastin, that is a great hydrator for very sensitive, very delicate skin. And for the body, I love the Elastin Transform. It has the Trihex technology, which really helps reduce crepiness, and it really does help strengthen the skin. It just has a high price tag, but it's much more than just a moisturizer in terms of body lotions. What do you think of Plasma Pen for eye rejuvenation? Plasma Pen really scares me, I'll be honest. It is so operator dependent. It is so easy. It's not as controlled as a laser. When you're using a laser device, you can program the machine in just about every single parameter: how deep the laser light goes, how wide the beam is, how far apart the beams are from one another, how long the beam is on for. Everything is precisely controlled. With Plasma Pen, I feel like it's just so much more open. It has room for error. You know, a lot of it is in the skill in the hand and the skill of the operator and the contact they make and the time that they are on the skin for, and it's just not as precise, it's not as elegant, and I think you get exactly the same results with much more elegant and sophisticated devices that are far safer, in my opinion. Okay, this video is running long, so we will stop here. Thank you for listening. We'll definitely do this again. I'm losing my voice, so it's probably a good time to stop. And I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.